Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. So what I'll be talking about is the new product that has been developed from Digital Earth Africa. That's the monthly NDVI Climatologies. So the climatology is actually computed from 1984 up to 2020. And the main purpose of having this monthly NDVI climatology is actually going to help us to be able to develop the standard deviation anomaly for the NDVI. So the climatology actually started from the time period that we used from was the 1984 up to 2020. Then it was built on top of the Landsat image. That's high resolution of 30 by 30 meter pixels over the whole of Africa. So to actually be able to do that, we use a huge compute job on Amazon AWS. That's 24 hours to run it, which is about 12 terabytes of memory. Then using the OD statistician library and the Argo infrastructure, we're able to compute it. So actually climatology is monthly one. So from January up to February, and we've actually been able to compute it all for the whole of Africa. So as you can see, on the left side is the NDVI climatology for the Africa country, and on the right side is the standard deviation of it. So these are some of the images that we got from the NDVI climatologies. So right now that this is already done, it's actually available on the maps and it's also available on the sandbox. So you can actually, having these climatologies can actually help you to be able to compute for the anomaly using the NDVI for either selected areas or even for a whole country. So currently we will go to the map after the PowerPoint presentation. I'll go to the map, then you locate where you can actually find the NDVI climatology data sets and how you can do further inspection. Then we also move on to the sandbox and see areas also where you can actually get it. And even right now that the anomaly product is not ready, you can actually generate the anomaly product within the sandbox and use it. So although we were able to develop the climatology that from 1985 to 2020, there are some caveats that you have to observe actually when you want to use it. Because it's actually done with the Landsat image, we use Landsat 5, Landsat 7, and Landsat 8. Not all the areas actually got equal amount of images. So for Landsat 5, it didn't actually cover the whole of Africa for some period. So for that, when you use the Landsat 5, some areas will experience much dense image than other areas. So if you want to use it, you have to make sure that the area that you are using, you have to get a clear count, not less than 25 observations. So because if you actually use the clear count less than 25, it will throw you off on the images that you have. So although that you have it for the whole of Africa, when using it, you have to be careful and check the number of observation of data that we have before you use it for the area that you want to work with. So as you can see, within the West Africa region, for some months, we couldn't actually get enough data. Within the West, we realized that within the month of the raining period, especially for West Africa, some has less observations. So probably using those times will be much more difficult for you to use than to actually use it within some other areas. So as I made mention of, you notice that for the West Africa, especially for the West Africa part, between May and October, we actually have images where we have 4 images existing. Some can be cloud. So what you are seeing here, so this image you are seeing here was actually captured from Ghana in January, but if you look at it, it was actually a bad cloud. So due to that, it actually had a bad effect on the image. So when you are using the NDVI climatologies, especially for some part of areas, make sure that you actually check the clear count to see whether it's you can actually use that for the area that you want to work with or not, especially for certain months within the African country. So from this, right now that the climatology is ready, you can actually use it to do the NDVI standard anomaly. So this is a sample test that we ran using the NDVI anomaly for certain areas within the country. And so on the left side is one country, and on the right side is also another country. So you use the games modest data that we actually have to actually validate the standard, the NDV anomaly for January for a particular month, as you can see here. So using this one, you're able to compare that. It actually gives us more clearer image as if you compare the two. And this is also for Tunisia. So you calculated the Landsat image that for Landsat. You combine the Landsat 8 and the Sentinel-2 image for those two, and also did, and you after getting these results, you also compare it with the games modis, the platform which is actually available. This is also for Morocco, as you can actually see clearly. So all this ones is able, you are able to calculate this on the fly because of the NDVI climatology that has actually been computed for you. You can actually do it on the fly. So this is for different countries. You have also seen for South Africa. So the NDVI standard anomalies for the two products. The one from the games, which is modest, and also the one based on the Digital Africa on, which is the Landsat and the Sentinel-2. Based on this, you can actually calculate the average phenology for some areas. So this is for South Africa. By picking the NDVI standardized anomaly, you calculate it. And this is also for Ethiopia, average phenology for these areas. And one of the use cases that you can also actually think of using will be the irrigated cropping mask. So this is for Ethiopia, whereby by combining all the products available, you'll be able to the crop marks and the NDVI anomaly, you'll be able to actually work on something in relation to the irrigated crop mask. So I'll end the presentation here. Then we will go on to the live presentation, whereby you'll be able to see how you can actually get access to the NDVI anomaly. The climatology, sorry. So very soon, the NDVI anomaly for each month will also be produced from the platform, where you'll be able to have access to all those things. Okay. So what you see here is the Games Global Agriculture Monitoring that actually we use it as a form of validating some of the work that we are doing using the platform. So let me go straight to the map session. Once you launch the map session at the Explore map, once you launch it, you click on the Explore map. Then under vegetation, you have the NDVI climatologies available there. So once you click on it, you get the information on the NDVI climatology available. Then you can add it to the map. So as you can see, this is the NDVI climatology for the whole of Africa. To actually visualize it, you just zoom in a little bit, then the image for that for a particular area will show up for you. On the far right, so on the far left, you have the layer showing up here. And when you come to the styles, you get the mean NDVI climatology for each month, the standard deviations, and the clear count. So depending on the month that you are interested in, if you want to know the mean NDVI for January, you choose that particular month, then the data will actually load it up for you for the particular area that you want to work with. So as you can see, based on the Zoom resolution, you notice that this is the NDVI climatology. That's for the mean for the month of January. So you get the value below here. Then we also have it for the standard deviation NDVI for that particular month. So this is also the climatology from 1985 to 2020. You also get to see the standard deviations. Then you can also look for the clear count. Just as I said, if you want to use the climatology, you have to make sure that the count for that particular image for that particular month is actually below 25, so that you actually get, it's actually above 25 for you to actually get a good result when you want to do the NDVI anomaly. So you can visit the maps.digitalearth.africa and go through. You can visit the maps.digitalearth.africa and you can look through the NDVI climatology. Aside the, you can actually also use it to see how things are actually happening over the area that you are working with. So this is the climatology. Very soon, the anomaly product will also be ready, and you can also find it at the map session. Aside having it on the maps, the next step is also on the sandbox. So if you launch the sandbox and you go to the data sets, there's a new notebook that has been added, that's the NDVI climatology. So this one talks about how you can actually use the climatology in the sandbox. So if you want to do further analysis, how you can call up the climatology, this is the product name that you are going to use. Then now you can actually use it for various works that you want to do. So you can plot it out and visualize it. And if you also want to combine it, so this is the clear count of it. If you also want to combine it with the crop max, how you can combine the NDVI climatology with the crop max. So once you go to the sandbox and you enter into the data sets, within the data set, it actually gives you how you can actually use the NDVI climatology within that and some of the examples. So the example we are seeing here is with combining the climatology alone with phenology over a period within South Africa. Users with power accounts can actually do it for a whole country to see how the country's phenology is actually working. So this is actually per pixel. Then, because the climatology is ready, the next one that you can actually use also is the vegetation anomaly. The vegetation anomaly can be found in the real world example. Then under the real world example, the notebook is found there, which is the vegetation anomaly. So you have the monthly one. So if you choose the vegetation anomaly, the great thing right now is you can actually do it at the country level, depending on your memory size. So this is a country, Uganda. This is the Uganda country. Then if you want to go further with the crop max, also you specify the crop max for it. Then you will be able to load it up and it will actually calculate the NDVI anomaly for the whole country. For the an NDVI anomaly for the whole country, that's Uganda, to get your results there. And after getting this, you can actually compare it with the MODIs. That's from the games one, which is stated here, the games1.jfcs. You can actually compare it with it and use it for that particular area that we have. So this is actually a climatology, and combining it to get the monthly mean, the NDVI mean for the whole anomaly for Uganda is possible because of this product. That's the climatology product that is happening. I did an example that I want to share with you over the area of Kenya. Over a part of Kenya, that's the northern side of Kenya. Northern side of Kenya. So this is a small portion of Kenya where we combine the climatology for January. So as you can see, the climatology for January, the standard deviation, and the anomaly for a particular region, the northern side of Kenya. That's the Kenya. And with this area, I combine it with the crop max to find the results. So I've just maxed the area out using the crop max. Then we're able to, so this is just the abnormally for area where there has been crops actually happening over the period. So this is the new notebook that is happening, that has been a new product that has been developed. That's the climatology. Very soon the NDVI anomaly product will also be ready. Then before those ones are ready, you'll be happy that you go into the platform and check all of them out. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Edward. Actually, everybody is clapping on their desks. I leave it to the colleagues to give comments.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Edward. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, welcome very much, Benjamin Akwamba.
Midas Ken. Sorry, I joined in a bit late, and so I'm sure what I'm coming to ask, Edward may have spoken about it already. When you say NDVI climatology, what do you mean? Edward.
Okay, Ben. Yeah, Ben, sorry. So when you say the climate, that means we want to, climatology means having a long time period calculation of a particular region. So mostly about 30 years. So the right now, the NDVI climatology, what it means is that we've actually computed the NDVI for a long period. So if you pick January, we've calculated NDVI from 1985 to 2020.
Okay.
And we combine them all as one image to get the NDVI. So that's why we have the, yes. So that's the
So then my confusion is with the term climatology, because when you mentioned climatology, what my mind went on to was climate in terms of rainfall, temperature, and any other thing you can think about when we talk about climate. So that's what my mind.
Yeah. So the long-term period, the long-term average period, that's what we are classifying as climatology.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. So the minimum number of years is 20, right?
Yes, that's the minimum required to have information about a climate season, 30 years.
Okay.
Otherwise, the weather is today in Accra. Is it raining? Is it then over a pattern of time? Also, you also have to be cognizant when you go to the ground and talk to the farmers. They'll tell you how things were different. And if possibly they were fortunate to have stories from their grandparents who tell them things were different in the 1950s or in the 1940s.
Yeah. Okay. Well understood. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Also, there's a question from Baco about the quality of the images. This was a question raised that possibly also the Landsat 5 was at that much resolution, which was not so useful. Edward, you had more information on the same?
So I think Baco, with the Landsat 5 for the areas, the best way is to use the clear count to actually see whether the area of interest has more clear count for you to use. So if you look at the clear count from the system, you notice that it's less than, based on our observation, if the clear count is actually less than 25, it won't be advisable to use it. So with that one, I think it would be good to look for maybe the modest one and use it.
At least now we can appreciate, at least we have something for the continent, which is fairly easy to access. And the product was at 30 meters, so it's fairly okay. At least it gives us somewhere to start with. I think any comments from the partners in the call? I know RCMRD is doing a great job, and Afrigist, and also Stella from WFP. Please feel free to use your microphone.
Hello, team. Hi, Edward. Thank you for this. Quite impressive. I think, well, these are normally daily products that we utilize. And thank you so much for at least showcasing it in a continental form. Maybe, is it possible also to add plots, like time series plots for a certain period in the script, so that we can be able to see how the vegetation is performing over time. This is where the above the spatial extents. Thank you.
David, please come again.
I was saying, is it possible also to add the time series so that we can be able to, if we can point a place, we get a time series of how a certain vegetation or crop has been performing over time. This is where above what we already have.
Oh, okay, so then I think that one will come when the NDVI anomaly product is ready. But for the NDVI anomaly, we can actually add the time series also to it based on the computations and do that. So within the sandbox, that can be done.
Thank you.
Stella Mutai, please.
Edward, that's a nice presentation. I looked at the charts that you showed, especially the connectivity between NDVI and the climatology. I just had one question is like what are the aspects that you use to relate NDVI with climatology? Like, is it the measures or is it the differences that are existing in the climate that are influencing the NDVI differences? Yeah, maybe you could explain a bit on that.
Okay, so I think the climatology term here is actually looking at the average baseline conditions. So what we did was we picked the NDVI for each month, then we found the average over the whole of the continent. And based on that also, we calculated the standard deviation for that particular area. So it's actually, we didn't actually look at the climate factors, but the NDVI, what the satellite image is actually producing, that's what we look at it.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
Edward.
So also in a nutshell, I think such a summary of a data set is one of its kind for the continent. So it's something for us also to go explore and see if you're not comfortable with some of the results in your area.